John.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel for another track guide this week from Circuit des 24 Hour du Mans, or for us Bogan Aussies, Le Mans. So for the track guide this week, guys, I'm running a 53.5% brake bias. Starting fuel is 80 litres this week, so this is the first lap out after my outlap. Um, and I think that's really all I had to tell you. So I pulled out a 354.9. Pretty happy with that one. I'll probably get a little bit more off that. There's probably a couple of little secrets or a couple of little lines I'm not quite doing right. They're washed out into the first sort of chicane, went a little bit deep in there, but as you'll see. But yeah, could probably pull about another tenth off that one. But I noticed the quicker boys were doing a 354.5s, maybe a little bit lower. And I saw Scotty do a 354.1. Dude's cheating for sure, pulling out the bloody macros. I don't know about that, Scotty, eh? Just kidding, buddy. Anyway, I'll stop dribbling shit. Get into the track guide. So this week, I'd imagine the track for anyone that hasn't raced here would probably be a little bit daunting, as it is quite a long track. But once you get your line right and your brake markers, it's pretty much straightforward, guys. After that, it's just a matter of fine tuning it, pretty much like every other track. But it is a long time to concentrate, I'd imagine. But you get a little bit of a reprieve on the straights as there is a shite load of them. So anyway, I'll get straight into it. So coming up the first corner here, guys, drop that one down. So stick all the way to the left here. So with this track, you want to use as much of, well, with any track really, you want to use as much of the track as possible. And with this one, it lets you go out quite wide on these ones. You just got to be real careful. You can get penalties quite easily, but in this part, not too bad. So all the way over to the left there, as you can see. So just before this white line up here, starting to drift across. Use all the road on the right here. As you can see, already on the brakes, start to trail on the brakes, just really lightly. As you can see on the delta down the bottom here, just lightly on the brakes, just to get the car straightened up. Once you're hitting that first one back or into the corner and then straightening the car up, you're going back through the gears all the way back down to second. Try not to jump these sausage curbs on the left as they are a little bit nasty once you hit them. They tend to kick you, and coming around and up this hill, for some reason, it tends to be really, really slippery. I've found. So just keeping on the gas, just ever so slightly coming through there. Try to miss your sausage curves. Get as close as possible. Really late exit on late apex on both of those corners, and then once you're out, you're starting to open up the wheel. Really get back on the gas quite hard. Just don't go out past these little white markers on the left here, as you will get a penalty. So always just try to. So if it's this is the side of the track, always try to keep your right hand side tires just inside the curb. Tends to be a little bit safer than rather sort of, trying to guess where they all are. You just sort of stick to that rule and you won't penalize yourself. So coming down into the next corner here, we'll just speed her up a little bit. That one's pretty straightforward. This one coming through here, so you want to go all the way on the left there on that left-hander and then come across to the right. I've come across quite early. It does drift you out a little bit. As you can see on the delta here, I get off the accelerator just a little bit coming into it, but then completely off because you want to be all the way over the right-hand side of the track here, guys. Back to third through here. So coming across, trailing off into the corner. Quite an early apex on this one, sort of aiming in here, but you try to keep it quite tight all the way through here. You probably can come right out as it is cambered, but I've noticed coming through there, you get so much speed that when you try to get that later apex, I tend to understeer. So maybe that's where I can sort of work on it a little bit and get a little bit of time off. It's coming out of that one. Watch coming out of there and coming out of this one. The RSM will want to tweak out, as you just saw there. Coming out of that left-hander, coming into the right-hander, just look for this pole here and get as close as you can to that. As you want to stay here as you come up over this rise here, because once you start getting on the gas here, you're not completely on the gas, as you can see, about 3/4 on the delta there. But yeah, getting on it quite hard, getting over that rise and then getting back on the gas as hard as you can. Now, this is one of those corners that is probably one of the harder ones on the circuit. But once again, once you get your braking marker and yeah, just figure out your line, then it's not too bad. So this is your braking marker here, guys. It's LED lights here. So flat stick through here, fifth gear. Once you hit that on the gas, on the brakes, sorry, as you can see, not too hard on the brakes, about 1/4 on the brakes, just to bring that nose across, and then shifting fourth. That'll get the tail to come around, and then you want to get a later apex on this part of the sausage curb. Try not to drop your tires any more than what I've done in there. As you can see just there, I am keeping my left-hand tires. The boys having a chat in the background there. Left-hand tires inside that curb just to make sure that I'm not going to get that penalty because it is a fine line there, guys. And then as you're coming across and you're trailing into that corner, hitting that line that I've just told you there with the later apex, as you hit it, get back on the gas as hard as you can, and you should be able to drift. That right there was not a penalty. So I think you have to drop your right-hand tires outside the curbing to get the penalty. But once again, if you can keep them as close to the inside as you can, is better off to be safe. All right, so coming down the back straight here, guys. I'll speed her up again. Yeah, Scotty, Paul Burns and I think it was Scotty were having a bit of a battle there, so they're getting all excited. Steve Grumley. So coming down the back straight here, guys, all the way up into sixth gear, almost peaking out the rev limiter, 300 and something kilometres an hour. So coming into this one, some people are finding these quite hard, but once again, once you find your brake markers and you get your line, not too bad. So the 200, I'm going to stick with for the race. Is my brake marker. Well, just before, as you can see, so getting on it a little bit before. I have been pushing it to the 200. But as I always say in all my guides, in a straight line, guys. Just get that hard braking done in a straight line, shifting down the gears quite quickly. And I try to get down all the way down to second before I trail off into here. This is one of the corners I'm sort of experimenting with at the moment. I'm trying to stay outside the curbs, not really put the tires up on them coming in, as it's not a lot of traction, but there's got to be a way to do it without, yeah, sort of losing. As you can see there, and I didn't wash off enough speed, and I start sort of drifting too far across to the left here. You want to stay more out here, get all your braking done, and then really get that really good run out of here in second gear. so that no one's really right up your ass and getting that tail down the straights. As everyone knows at Le Mans, it's just a drafting game around here, so not as crucial, which is probably good for me for qualifying, but you still want to qualify up the front. But yeah, you're just going to get a crazy draft around this track, so keep that one in mind. So we'll get back into it. Another big long straight for the next left, right, left chicane. So once again, I'm hitting my 200 down here is my brake marker. Try to stay all the way over to the right once you get down here. Once again, using all the track and braking in a straight line. So where are we? We're at the three. Geez, these straights are long. 300, and then your 200 is right there on the brakes. Once again, try to stay in a straight line. I'm aiming for this witch's hat, and then just so that I'm right out here using all the track, and then just trying to just nick it, just miss it. Coming back down the gears all the way back down to second once again. Taking a big chunk. This is what I should have done on the previous one, I think. Taking a chunk on the first part of the curb coming in, but then the second part, miss it because you got such a, yeah, I think I'm too, I don't know. Something I have to experiment with that one. It didn't really wash me out too much, but I think coming out of this one, as everyone probably knows, once you stick your wheels up on here and you're really giving it a boot, it wants to kick off. Once you come off the curb, it wants to kick the arse end. So something to experiment with there, guys. So all the way back down to second through that chicane, and then yeah, just powering out as usual, trying to get the best run out as possible so that no one's sitting right up your ass. So coming up to this one, this can be a bit of a tricky one, but just think of it as a 90-degree corner. It's got this little kink, but it's really not that bad once you sort of figure it out. So at this witch's hat, about at the witch's hat, that's where I brake. And from the witch's hat, I aim straight for this witch's hat, trying to brake in that straight line. Once again, quite hard on the brakes, about half. As you can see, they're fluffing around with the brake pressure. But from sixth all the way back down to second, coming right out here, don't go out past the witch's hat, try not to hit that one. I've come across a little bit early as I didn't quite wash off a lot of speed. So you want to come of a bit of a later apex than what I've done there. So I'm carrying more speed in, but still trying to wash it off. But I did get on the accelerator just after the apex, but you want to sort of get on it on the apex just to get that really good run out. So coming on to once again another straight. Coming down the back, this back straight here, it's pretty straightforward. Not going to really go through this one. We'll just scoot it down through here. This can be another corner that's a little bit daunting for some people. But once you figure it out again, it shouldn't be too bad. Using all the track again, all the way over the left here, there is this green bit here. I'm just going to pause it right here. The 100 is my brake marker, or the start of that. So I was sitting right out here. I don't know if it's got something to do with that green or what it is, but I was sitting out here and trying to get the run in. I kept getting the bloody 1X. I'm like, what the, or the slowdown. I'm like, what's going on here? But I think it's, yeah, it's got something to do with out here. But um, for the future, I'm staying inside that green bit there. So I'm trying to get my wheels as close to that green bit as possible, using the 100 as my brake marker from sixth. So coming in a line here, getting on the brakes here, where you can see I am at the moment, shifting, so on the brakes down to fifth, that'll get you turned and you get your nose in, and then getting your mid apex as close to that curve there as possible, so that you can stay to the right to set up the next left. So I'll just run through it in the slow-mo here. So as you can see, trying to keep it nice and straight, but getting more of a late apex, but trying to really dip your tires right on that curb just to keep your car over to the right hand. Try not to drift out past the middle part of the road there. Keep it right over here to the right. Getting down through the gears all the way back down to second. Getting your brake done, trailing off, and then trying to get as late of an apex as you possibly can around here. And then just getting a really good run out. Watch that one. It is cambered, but once you come out of it, it wants to kick the arse end, as it started to do to me there a little bit, but nothing too hard to sort of control. So yeah, just keep an eye on that one. It can want to kick the arse end. So coming into this one, I've been trying second and first. I'll just go back here. Yeah, second and first. I'm settling on first at the moment. I'm just going to run through it in first. I've always done it in first, but I've noticed I've asked a few people and they're doing it in second. Um, so there is two ways to go through it. Obviously, if you're in second, you probably just have to make sure you get on the brakes just that smidge earlier, I'd imagine, just to wash off the speed and not get that understeer into the corner. For myself, tend to like the late brake. Here, there's not really a brake marker, so I'm sort of keeping an eye on the end of this barrier and that green piece there. And just in my head, I'm going, oh, okay, that's about the middle there. So right in the middle of this barrier and that green bit there is my brake marker. So I'm just getting right on the brakes right about there. From fourth all the way back down to first. So this one, yeah, just you can sit out here, but once again, try not to drop your right-hand tires inside this curb. So just use an imaginary line all the way up here. You just want to make sure your tires are just inside that. From, yeah, fourth all the way back down to first, as you'll see here, quite hard on the brakes, about half or just over half at the beginning, and then trailing off into the corner in first. Make sure you got the car completely turned or mostly completely turned before you get quite hard back on the gas, but trying to get gradually on the accelerator as I think I've done here. Otherwise, when you're in first, it yeah, it really tends to want to kick that arse end out, spin the tires up, especially when the tires start to wear. It'll want to, as you can see here, guys, yeah, keeping that acceleration as I hit the apex, but then gradually getting it back on it. Once I'm at about 3/4 and the car's straightening up, really getting back on that gas and giving it a good boot. So coming down this little kinky section here, is probably not really too much to talk through here. Stay about mid-track. I just sort of, yeah, stay over here, drift out to about mid-track, stay right over to the left once again. So my brake marker coming up here is between the 100. I usually go right in the middle of the 100 and that green line again, so right in the middle there. Um, and then you're sort of aiming for more out this direction. So I go quite quickly back through the gears for this one, as I'm sort of, it's not really a late brake marker, but I just noticed you have to get really back through those gears quite quickly, um, just to get the setup for the corner. So I'm sort of coming through here. So I'm from sixth, fifth, fourth, trailing off. If you come into this corner, as you can see there, you want to come across nice and tight there and just keep it really tight. You can take a later apex, but it's no point. You're just washing off way too much speed. So I come in more earlier in apex and then just try to stick really tight to that curb just to set up the next left-hander. As you'll see here, yeah, they're just sort of more mid part of the left-hand side of the track, coming across, keeping it nice and tight on that right hand curb. Really trying not to drift out past the mid part of the track just to get it back over here to set up this next left-hander. When you come through here, you see you're coming around, keeping it more mid-track, coming back over here to set up the next left-hander. You're really getting on the gas power and out of there as hard as you can. But once you get to here, you don't have to brake. You can just, if you do it at the right spot, you just get off the accelerator just to get that weight shifted to the right-hand side and get the arse end to come around and then back on the gas. It's really quite quickly, as I think you'll see here on the Delta. So off the accelerator, getting that nose pointed to the curb where you want it, and then right back on the gas. Try not to drift too wide there. That's going to take a little bit of practice just to see how much gas you can give it through there and the line to take, to make sure you're not going to drift too wide out there. I'll just get it back here. So yeah, drifting out to the right there, getting right out using all the track there, guys. And then coming across here, once again, you can just get off the accelerator. You can touch the brakes. I touch the brakes just marginally just to get that ask them to come around a little bit just to set up the line I want. Once again, quite an early apex on this one, really just hugging the curb there, just to set up more of a mid-track to set up this next right-hander. As I was coming straight through here, but yeah, it ends up being too much of a sharp corner halfway through the corner. You have to really try to get that car back around. And yeah, washes off too much time. So I'm through there in fourth, all the way through there in fourth. Once I get to here, I think it's about here. So I'm fourth through here. I'll get off the accelerator there and then on the brakes, but shift. So I'll get off the accelerator and then quite marginally and then shift. Like it's quite a noticeable break between the brake and the shifting down gears. Talking too much once again. I'll go back through here. So keeping it nice and tight on this right-hander once again. Nice and tight, nice and tight, nice and tight. You want it all the way over to the right here just to set up this next left-hander. This left-hander can be a little bit of a tricky one. A lot of people sort of push the brake marker or they're getting off the accelerator point. You want to get off just a little bit earlier than what you'd think just to get your tires right over to that left-hand curb. Once you've hit your apex, really get back on the gas. If you've done it right, you haven't gotten off too late on off the accelerator, and you come across and hit your apex in the right spot, you can really just boot it out of this corner, and it'll drift across and use all the track, but not give you a penalty coming out of it. So keeping right over to the right here, as I said, off the accelerator, on the brakes, just marginally if you really think you have to, just nicking those sausage curbs and then getting right back on the gas as hard as you can. As you can see there, it'll drift it out there, but it won't drift far enough to give you a penalty. Coming through this bit, pretty straightforward, the right there and then the left. Now coming down to this one, this can be very tricky, and I heard a lot of people saying that they're having trouble with the last two, the left-right chicane at the end here. So my brake marker is right there. I'm looking for the beginning, this bit here, and the end bit I'm trying to go right in the middle. As you can see, I went a little bit earlier then, but that's basically my brake marker. That's what I'm looking for. Getting on the brakes there, from fifth back to fourth, back to third, and then I'll just walk through it here. Yeah, so on the brakes, quite hard, in a straight line, back to third, getting all your braking and your shifting done, and then trailing off across, and you want to hit the left-hand side of your car or your tyres right on that white marker, and then once again as close to that white marker as you can get it. No penalty there, and then keeping it mid-track. Just keep it mid-track, or even over here if you can, but I try to keep it mid-track as I'm coming through there quite quickly. So once you come out of that right-hand kink part, you go left, right, coming out of this one right here, you really want to try to keep it more mid. And as you can see, I'm getting that car turned to the right and facing straight down the track so I can get that hard braking done to shift down to second. So with this one, I come into this one, yeah, mid-track, and I'm really taking a big chunk out of this left-hand curb here. So I come across, take a really good chunk, but I'm aiming for my right tyres to be here on this right-hand curb. These aliens that are really quick, they can probably jump that curb, but myself, I can jump this one, but it really tends to unsettle it coming out of this one onto the main straight if I jump this one. So I tend to try and drop my tyres just in here, just to keep the car steady and get on the gas as early as possible, as you'll see here, guys. It's taking a nice big chunk out of that one, really kicking it up there. You're not dropping the right tyres on the curb, so I think that's what keeps it steady. And then just, yeah, as close to that sausage curb on the right there as you can without touching it. And you can find you'll find, I'm pretty sure, yeah, as you can see, keeping the car, I can't emphasize it enough. When you're coming through big curbs like this, it feels like you have to be completely off the accelerator. But once you get all your, yeah, off the accelerator, but once you get all your braking done, you get off the brakes to hit that curb. You want to get back on the accelerator just ever so slightly. It tends to stable up the car. And then you're already on the gas. So once you get your car completely turned out of that right hander, you can just get on it even earlier, as you'll see here, guys. So getting all that braking done and already looking at that accelerator halfway mid corner. Yeah, getting back on the accelerator there, keeping the car nice and steady, getting it completely turned onto the main straight, and then just giving it a really good boot out of there. You can use all this green out here on the left once again, like at Laguna Seca last week. Look, that's another track guide, guys. I really hope it helped. Sorry if I've waffled on too much. Once again, just joking, Scotty. Very good lap, mate. Good to see you up with those quick boys. Um, Hope you get a good result. But yeah, I hope that's helped, guys. Think about leaving a thumbs up and subscribing, and can't wait to see you in the race on Thursday. Thanks, guys.